Good morning. Almost with you.
Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. You are beautiful just the way you are. Step into the love. You're illuminated by the glory of God's love. Step into the truth. From within, your abundance overflows. Our love can change one life. One life can change the world. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light, step into the love, step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. Step into the light. Step into the love. Step into the truth of who you are. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So move with me. Step with me. Step into the light.
Yes, 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 yes. We have stepped into the light of October the 17th, 2021. My name is Sunshine Day, and I get to be the spiritual director at the Downey Center for Spiritual Living. And we absolutely welcome you to this joyous Sunday celebration service where we get to recognize the truth of who we are. We get to recognize that right where we are, living spirit is expressing magnificently, wonderfully, and powerfully as me, as you, as each and every one of us. So I want to welcome you to this consciousness and welcome you to this amazing day. And if you're joining us for the very, very first time, welcome. We pray that what you hear and what you see here is in alignment with your highest good, and that you continue to join us not only on Sundays, but in all of the activities and events that we participate in. We absolutely see a world where all needs are met, and we see a world that works for everyone. So what we get to do is we get to provide the spiritual tools for personal and global transformation as we participate in awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And I got to tell you something, that each and every Sunday that we do this and that we come together in beloved community, I awaken to my spiritual magnificence. And so it is our hope and our prayer that together we awaken one another to our spiritual magnificence. It is a joy to be here with you today. We have an amazing service lined up for you. And what we want to do is introduce or reintroduce Downey Center for Spiritual Living to you by sharing with you our vision and our mission. And here's what we believe, and here is what we are embracing for ourselves and for our community. So I invite you to hear this and to read this and to see this as if you're seeing it for the very first time, and to really soak it in. And in a moment, I'm going to invite those who are Zooming with us to participate by letting us know what stands out for them today. So our vision and mission is this: by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a fulfilling and joyous life. A valorar y potenciar todo, inspiramos una vida plena y alegre. And so, what I am wanting to do now is simply open up the lines here for those who are on Zoom to invite you to just participate in letting us know what that vision and mission, what it meant for you today, what it brought up for you today. Is there anyone who would like to speak to that? Go ahead and unmute yourself and just go ahead and speak to that. What did that vision and mission move within you today? I can see you're all so moved you cannot even speak. We have the shy group with us today. What I will share with you is that by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. What that means for us, for our community, and in particular to me, is that I get an opportunity to value everything, all. Everything that is presenting itself, and even the things that are not presenting itself. And so with that, what we know is that how we get to value everything and all is by our spiritual practice. And that spiritual practice is so key and so important because it actually helps to shape and to form our consciousness, our awareness, and our come from, where we live from. And so today we have a long-term practitioner. And by that I mean someone who's been a practitioner for over 10 years and who's been practicing these principles in the face of no agreement, in the face of adversity, in the face of fear, in the face of anxiety, in the face of depression and strife, in the face of COVID, in the face of whatever life brings. This particular practitioner has been practicing these principles and has been living these principles and has been over and over again using them, even when the world would say, don't do it. And as a result, he knows the truth, and he's going to share that truth with us in this moment. This particular practitioner is my friend and beloved George Weatherford. George, we surrender to you.
I think that actually I was a powerful practitioner because I wanted to put our vision and mission into our meditation today. So that's why nobody said anything. So thank you all for playing right in. I always say that we're all practitioners, so you get to be practitioners with me today. And it's really nice to be here with everybody. I haven't been here as much. I was out of town for a few weeks and reconnecting with nature, which you can see behind me. So by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. I'm going to say that again. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. I'm going to invite us all to notice our breath a few times. Not trying to have any particular breath, but noticing the breath that you are bringing right to this moment. Notice the inhale, notice the exhale. Notice how your feet might be connected to the floor, or your butt might be connected to a chair. And noticing again that inhale, that exhale. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Still being aware of the breath, allowing ourselves to just know what that phrase brings to us and what it means to each of us individually. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. How does that vision and how does that mission live in you right now? Live in your breath. By valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Noticing another breath or two as I repeat, by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Really, isn't that the heart of being a practitioner? So each one of us gets to be a practitioner in this vision and this mission of valuing all, which really is knowing the value of each one of us, knowing the truth of who each one of us is, and empowering all, because that truth allows us to know and to be the most and the best of all we can be. And in that awareness, here and now, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Right here and right now, I know this truth. I know the truth that there is one power and there is one presence. I know that this power expresses itself in so many numerous ways, in countless ways. I know that the beauty of God expresses itself in endless ways, and that it is ultimately endless possibility. But what I know is at the heart of where we are right now, where I am right now, that this power and this presence expresses itself as me. That the beauty of God lives itself as me right here and right now. And in this infinite oneness, in this truth that there is only one, as I know this power and this presence is the truth of me, I know it as the truth of all of us here. I know it as the truth of Reverend Sunshine and the words that she expresses. I know it as the very heart and soul of our meeting together. So in this awareness of this oneness, in this awareness of the God that expresses itself, that unfolds itself right here, right now, through us and as us, and that extends itself by nature to all of itself outside of this Zoom room, I'm going to know the truth of our time together. And I'm going to spin right back to the beginning, that in this time together, I know that as we value and empower all, in this time together, we inspire, we set into motion a joyous and fulfilling. So not only is this vision, not only is this our mission, but I know this to be the truth. I know this to be made manifest. I know this to be expressing itself right here, right now, and through this week. And so I just give thanks for all of it, knowing we are blessed. And so it is.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let's show some love for practitioner George Weatherford. Beautifully done this morning. Thank you so much. Well, hello and welcome. I'm Reverend Kevin. I have a couple of announcements for you today. And I'll just flash that up for a minute. As is our custom, prayer with a practitioner after service with someone like George during our fellowship time. And we call those Minute Miracles. We use the feature on Zoom called a breakout room, where just you and the practitioner end up in your own little Zoom room. And during that time, that practitioner will know the spiritual truth for you. They will celebrate your life. And if there is any something else to be revealed in your life, they will help you reveal that to be healed. It is a powerful few moments, and I encourage you to take advantage of it, to avail yourself of that opportunity. And as is often the case, we have Seva, sacred service opportunities in our community. And just reach out to anyone on our leadership teams, be it practitioners or ministers or members of our leadership council, or just contact us through email or phone us, and we will help answer your call to serve in our community. And being grateful is a powerful poise for anyone on the spiritual journey. And I want to give thanks to all of those who help bring this community together to make this beloved community so beloved, so loving. So I want to thank again our practitioner of the day, George Weatherford, beautifully done. I want to thank our spiritual director and also delivering the message for today, Reverend Sunshine. I want to thank those folks moderating on our live streams on YouTube and Facebook. I think I saw our music director, Sunny Day, out there. I want to thank our leadership council who have been doing more than yeoman's work for all the changes that our community is going through recently and over the course of the past year and a half or more. And I want to thank our music team and our music director, Sunny Day, and to all of you for joining us here today. It really makes this community, this gathering, as Reverend Sunshine would say, a unique and unrepeatable expression of living spirit. And turning our attention back to spiritual practices, this is our opportunity to give as a spiritual practice. So the ways in which you can convey your gift to us, you can send your gift in the mail to 3350 East 7th Street. That's Box 529, Long Beach, California, 90804. You can use your bill pay service. You can use the donate link here and in the emails and on the website, and use your credit or debit card to make your donation that way. And one of the changes we've made is we now have a bank account that will accept payments through Zelle. So you can Zelle to our church phone number, which is 562-928-6460, and send your donation along that way. Now, giving elevates, migrates, moves into a spiritual practice based on the consciousness with which you give. And that consciousness is one of a good feeling. And the good feelings that come to my mind and my heart when I'm giving as a spiritual practice are feelings of generosity, of abundance, of circulation, of prosperity, of a plenitude, of an overflowing of goodness, godness in my life. So I'm going to invite you to just take a moment to discover how that feels for you. And I invite you to unmute yourselves, and we'll say our statement of giving together. We'll say it simultaneously in Spanish and in English. And as you're ready, here we go.
La
Abundance
abundancia
flows
fluye
in
por
my
mi
life.
vida.
I am
Estoy
blessed with
bendecido con
prosperity.
prosperidad.
I
Doy
give
con
with
un sentimiento de
generosity.
generosidad.
Yes.
Sí.
I
Diezmo
tithe
sobre la
using
fe y la
belief
creencia y
with a
con una
consciousness of love.
conciencia de amor.
My gift
Mi
is a
regalo
divine
es la
circulation
circulación divina a
now
través de mí
benefits
que
and
ahora
grows
beneficia
this
y hace
community
crecer nuestra
and
comunidad
beyond.
espiritual y más
And
allá.
now
Y
it
ahora
is.
es.
And I invite you just to open your heart to this music, perhaps sing along, mute yourself if you choose to sing along, so that we are prepared for this message in heart and mind.
I'm walking in the Spirit. Walking in the Spirit. Walking in the Spirit. the Spirit of one God, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit, loving in the Spirit, the Spirit of one God, moving in the Spirit, oh, moving, I'm moving. The Spirit, oh, the Spirit, the Spirit, oh, God, growing in the Spirit. Every day I'm growing in the Spirit. Growing in the Spirit. The Spirit, the Spirit, oh, God. Knowing in the Spirit, knowing in the Spirit, knowing in the Spirit, the Spirit of one God. Sing in the Spirit. I lift my voice and sing, yeah. In the Spirit. Oh, I lift my voice and sing, yeah. In the Spirit. Oh, the Spirit. The Spirit. The Spirit. The Spirit. One God. The Spirit. The Spirit.
That song always moves me and always prepares my heart and my consciousness for the talk today. Thank you, Reverend Kevin, for your service and for all that you do for us. And thank you, George, for just preparing us to receive the message. This month we've been looking at this year we've been looking at timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision, and this month we've been looking at going further together. And today we're looking at we is greater than we, going further together. In this concept and this idea of we is greater than me, there are a lot of yeah buts that come up for me. Right away it's just like, well, who's the we? Who compromises the we? Do I like the other me's that are in the we? It reminds me of actually a handful of years ago when we were actually in our building, and we would have these conversations about loving one another, about being supportive of one another, about really embracing the we. And, the ongoing joke and comment would be, yeah, but you don't know my sister, right? And for a time, it was like, yeah, but you don't know my neighbor, And it was really around looking at those people that challenge us the most. Those folks that no matter how spiritual we try to be, that they usually test our patience And as my mom used to say, get on my last nerve. And, you know, as we look at the we is greater than the me, I'm reminded of how much I can lift in terms of weight, how much I can lift. And then we take how much I can lift, and then let's say we take how much you can lift. And then we add that together and actually add more weight. And then the two of us together can actually lift not only what we can lift, what I can lift and what you can lift, but even more on top of that. That the dynamics of what I can carry and what you can carry, we can actually not only carry our combined weight, but we can actually add more weight onto that, and that together we're stronger. Last week, I reminded us of the African proverb that said that by myself or alone I go faster, together we go further. And that seems to be the theme for the month, that together we go further, that it is about developing and building this beloved community. I got a text message this morning, and it said, I am not what you think of me, but what you think of me is who you are. I am not what you think of me, but what you think of me is who you are. And as we let that really soak in, I am really calling to mind what it is that I think about other people. What is it that you think of others? Because what you think of others, if that phrase is correct and it has such depth and weight, what you think of others is not the truth about them, but it's the truth about you. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it is. Wow. Wow. So how is it that the we is greater than the me? And then what is my responsibility with the me for the strength of the we? I get an opportunity to also think about Zulu life. And in Zulu life and Zulu phrase, a Zulu phrase that comes up is this phrase called Ubuntu. Ubuntu is I am because you are. I am because you are. So in other words, because you are there, I get to be. In other words, without a you, there is no me. And so how do we turn the me to we? And when is it that we actually turn the me to we? When is it that we turn that M upside down to make it the we? The me to we. So that together we are greater, that we are greater than the sum of our parts. And in that consciousness of Ubuntu, it really speaks to the philosophy and the consciousness that we have in religious science or in our science of mind philosophy. In our science of mind philosophy, what we know and what we practice and what we believe is that there is one power, one presence, one life. And that life has created everything out of itself. Therefore, life and all of life is the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful, beautiful, amazing way that spirit, living spirit, loving spirit, God, prana, is showing up as you. And that thing, that spirit, that life force that is animating this particular physical body is the same life force that is animating your body, that is animating you. Therefore, that thing that enlivens me, that life force that is right where I am, is right where you are. It is the same. So of course we are one. Of course, in the many expressions, the thing itself is living in, through, and as me, in, through, and as you. And so there's nothing that separates my life from God. It is an impossibility. Therefore, it is an impossibility to actually separate my life from the life of the beloved community, of you. And to the degree in which I begin to understand that and recognize that and know that for myself, it is then to that degree that I begin to actually live a fulfilling and joyous life. It is indeed that by valuing and empowering all, as our community's vision and mission statement states, it is by valuing all of it. And then all of a sudden, oh, but you don't know my sister, oh, but you don't know my neighbor, that all of a sudden begins to melt into the nothingness from which it came. You see, too many times what's happening, and what happens for me, even as your spiritual leader and spiritual director at the Downey Center for Spiritual Living, even for me, for all of us, what begins to happen sometimes is we begin to believe more in our personhood than in the loving, living spirit that we are. I begin to think that I am my gender, my race, my age. I begin to think that I'm my socioeconomic class or all of my accolades. I begin to believe in my personhood rather than the spirit, rather than that power and presence that I really am. But when I pause, which is through spiritual practice as we have engaged in, and recognize the oneness of all life, that my life is the unique, unrepeatable way that God is showing up in human form, and that truth is the same for you. When I begin to recognize the we, and when I begin to actually shore up myself in my own spiritual practice, when I begin to know this for myself and have this be not only my daily practice, but the way I live and my come from, that the we is always greater than the me. And that's why spiritual community is so important. I can sit and meditate right here all by myself. But when we gather, or when we are in meditation, even virtually, there is something that just magnifies the concentration of our meditation that makes things exponential. And there's always this sense and this feeling of community and beloved community. And so I want to share what Ernest Holmes says. He says, one of the first things to do is to love everybody. If you have not done this, begin to do this at once. One of the first things to do is to love everybody. If you have not done this, begin to do so at once. This is at once. So, of course, begin to recognize the people that you already love. And as you think about those folks, and you begin to feel the love that you have, maybe for your significant other, someone that you've been married to for many, many, many years, even decades. Think about your best friends, people in your family that you love. Think about that beloved pet, the ones that have moved on and the ones that you still have. And as you begin to feel that love, go on ahead and expand that love circle. If you can feel it like a pulsing, like this love pulse, begin to just expand it a little bit more. Like, who else could you include in that love? Maybe co-workers, maybe some neighbors. Right? And begin to just allow that with every pulse of love and with every pulse of your heartbeat, that love is just extended more and more. Try that for a moment. Feel that love just expanding and expanding and expanding. And now, what about that sister or that relative or that neighbor that is a little bit challenging? With all the love that you have, could you just just go ahead and add that one. Just go ahead and take that one in. Ernest Holmes reminds us that we are to love everyone, and if we don't, that we are to do that at once. And I'm wondering if that becomes a daily spiritual practice of just beginning with our small circle and enlarging upon that circle and enlarging with each and every heartbeat, that we envelop everybody. That by valuing and empowering all, we inspire a joyous and fulfilling life. Like if my joy and my fulfillment were dependent upon my loving, how much joy and fulfillment would I have? Am I limiting myself by not loving, by not being open to love? Am I being reminded that the we is greater than the me? Ernest Holmes also says, if you do not merge with others in cooperation, in unity, and in happiness, you may be certain that there is something in you that still feels it has been rebuffed. Ooh, ouch. I don't know about you, but for me, I don't like feeling rebuffed. I don't like feeling this feeling of rejectedness or that I don't belong. But what Ernest Holmes is saying here, if I'm not in cooperation with others, if I'm not in unity with others, if I'm not in happiness with others, it's because there's this feeling of rebuff in me. And if there's a feeling of rebuff in me, it's because I am rebuffing others. It is because there is something that is living in me that is not open and accepting, that is not recognizing the power of the we. And so what must I develop in order to embrace the we even more? And so one of the things that comes to mind right off the top is our forgiveness work. Maybe we feel duped or wrong or slighted or rebuffed, rejected. Maybe we feel unsupported or unloved by someone. Maybe we don't like that person's politics or how they live their life. Maybe, that person has hurt or harmed someone else, or maybe even us in their life. And yet it is incumbent upon us to love everyone. We might not like the actions that they take. We might not be in total agreement with one another. But our commandment is to love one another, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And no wonder Ernest Holmes says is that if we're not in unity, if we're not in the oneness, then there's a part of us that feels rebuffed. There's a part of us that is actually canceling out someone else. Today's world and today's society deals a lot in cancel culture. Oh, you said this against so-and-so, or you said that against so-and-so. Boop! Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand. And we cancel each other out as if we are disposable. Oh, they just don't fit in my life anymore. Oh, they're not spiritual enough. Oh, they're just to this or just to that. And the invitation is to look. And I love it when Reverend Kevin does our meditation and he says with the utmost compassion, with the utmost compassion, when your thought drifts, with the utmost compassion, just bring yourself back to the meditation. And that is exactly what is being called forth right now. That when we are in that cancel culture, that when we are like, oh, I don't have time for that person's not spiritual enough, or that person is to this or to that or the other, and we cancel one another out as if we're disposable, that when we recognize that with the utmost love and compassion for self, that we simply bring ourselves back to the truth of who we are. That I am the unique and unrepeatable way that God is showing up in human form, and that I am the love of God. I am the love that God is. And as that's my truth, that is the truth for each and every one of us. And that with the utmost love and compassion that we bring ourselves back to this truth, and that we're in the flow of forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you're letting anybody off the hook. What means is you're unhooking yourself from the anger and the judgment and the negativity that brings. Because how do I get from a me to a we? How do I get there? And I must begin to recognize that we are indeed one, that we're very different. We have different experiences, but that living spirit is living in, through, and as me, and living spirit is living in, through, and as you. Because alone I go faster, but together we go further. And that even though I want to be this, slick kid from the Bronx and be like, I don't need anybody, the truth is that we need each other. And that together we go further. That our planet, that our living depends upon the interdependentness upon one another. And that the we is always greater than the me. And the way to get there is through our own spiritual practices over and over again. I love it. Hannah says, I'm good all by myself, but we're a force when we're together. That's right. That's right. When we're together, we are a force. We are powerful. I'm good all by myself. Yeah, I can do this. I can do that. Da, da, da. But together, we go further. Together, we go further. Let's take another look. Gary Zukav says that when you release the wants of your personality in order to accommodate and encourage another's growth, you attune yourself to that person's soul. This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, when we forget that we are indeed as spiritual beings. When we forget and we think that we are our personalities and our social identities, and we want to fulfill upon the pleasures of the personality, when we forget the greatness of who we are. It's very similar to Clark Kent, thinking that he's just this mild-mannered reporter from a great metropolitan newspaper when he's really Superman. Imagine that that's it, that we get stuck sometimes in thinking that we're just, oh, I'm just human. Oh, I'm just this or I'm just that, when really we are the unique and unrepeatable, powerful, magnificent way that God is showing up in human form. It's just like, don't you want to live from there more than you want to live from just like, oh, I'm just this human being. Oh, I want to experience lack and limitation and hatred and grief and anxiety. Oh, yeah, I want to experience doubt and fear and despair. No. When we engage in our spiritual practice and when we begin to elevate and know the truth of who we really are beyond the shadow of a doubt, when we engage in those spiritual practices that Reverend Kevin reminds us of each and every week, when we're in those daily practices of prayer and meditation and journaling, when we're in those weekly practices of tithing and beloved community, when we're in that reading of inspirational books, when we're educating ourselves spiritually, that's when we know and we know and we know that we know that we know. And it is then when I'm in that place where I know that living spirit is breathing me and living me. Whew, it is then where I know that I'm not my addictions, that I am not my faults or my mistakes, that I'm not my resume, that I am not my past, that I know that I'm the unique and unrepeatable way this grand power and presence expresses. And when I know that about me, because I've been doing my spiritual work, then I know that about you, and I know our oneness, and we get to go further together. And that's why we come together like this, to remind ourselves of the truth, to remind ourselves that no, you're not just this and this and this and your personalities and your social identities. Please, in this moment, be reminded that you are the unique, unrepeatable, magnificent, powerful way that God shows up in human form. And as you know that truth about yourself, and you know that truth about me and about each and every one of us, that we just turn that me to a we. So let's go into prayer for a moment. How grateful I am in this moment to recognize the one power, the one presence, the one life that has created everything out of itself. To know this power and presence to be love, to be abundance, to be wholeness, to be peace and power, to be harmony. I know this power to be joy. I know this power to be eternal. And I know that this power and presence, as it has created everything out of itself, I know that my life is the life of this power and presence. My life is God now. And to speak this and to know this is not blasphemous, but it is indeed to know the truth. And with that truth comes responsibility, the responsibility of proclaiming and naming and spreading this consciousness. And so as it is being done even now, as each and every one of us recognizes that this is the truth of who we are, we gently and magnificently awaken humanity to its spiritual essence. That each and every one within the sound of my voice is awakened and alert and aware and recognizes and knows that their life is the life of God, period. That is from this place that I powerfully speak the word for this community and all within the realm of this broadcast. Your life is magnificent. Your life is the life of God. There is nothing that separates you from God itself. This power and this presence is living in, through, and as you now. Therefore, the wholeness that God is, you are. The peace that God is, you are. The abundance that God is, you are. The joy that God is, you are. The power that God is, you are. The magnificence that God is, you are. There's nothing that separates your life from God. And even the words of using your life and the life of God, even though those words may sound as separating one from the other, there is only the one. And so I give thanks now for this word powerfully that has come through me. I give thanks that this is the truth of who we are. I give thanks that we make manifest this vision, that we sit around and tell this vision, that we tell a vision of a world that is awakening to its spiritual magnificence, and that together we're creating a world of we, because we is more powerful than the me. So for this and so much more, I give thanks, letting it be so. I simply release this word now with just such joy and exuberance and just such love of humanity, such love of all that is. I simply let it be so, releasing it into the law, knowing that it is done, and I celebrate it, and I joyously say, and now it is, because it is done. It is done, it is done, and now it is. Amen. Beloved, what a joy it is to be with you. And what a joy it is to hang out with you after service. I want to remind you that we have Minute Miracles with our practitioners today. And if you are watching us on Facebook Live and or YouTube, please join us on Zoom so that we might pray with you and know the truth of who you are. Until the next time, let us now sing our closing prayer. This is an opportunity for us to know the truth again and to simply be with the word already spoken. And so it is.
This is our prayer, a song of peace. We get to be the change we want to see. With open heart and open hands.
Go forth and multiply this consciousness and know that you are loved.